Quý vị đang theo dõi chương trình Khéo dùng tiền của Đài Lý Lịch Sài Gòn TV, chương trình tài chính của Đài Lý Lịch Sài Gòn TV. Xin lỗi quý vị. Hôm nay chúng tôi và ông Oliver Shin từ ngân hàng Open Bank đến đây để bàn với quý vị về đề tài SBA. Trước khi ngừng để mà giới thiệu người bảo trợ chương trình, ông ta có nói là có hai loại loan chính, một cái là 7A và một cái là 504. Đây là hai cái loan mà popular nhất, dĩ nhiên là có những cái khác, nhưng mà hôm nay ông ta sẽ cắt nghĩa cho quý vị biết những cái loan đó là loan để làm cái gì và cái thủ tục để mà xin vay tiền trong hai cái loan đó. So Oliver, let's explain those two loans.
Sure. So we'll talk about the 7A loan program first. Now, as I kind of touched into the types of use of proceeds that are usable with this type of loan. So as I mentioned before, it's a very flexible product that has a lot of uses. And generally, the maximum loan amount for 7A program is $5 million. SBA caps the maximum limit at $5 million. So the typical terms for a 7A loan would generally be 10 years for any business related. So like a business purchase loan would be about 10 years. Whereas if the loan involves the financing of property, we can extend it out an additional 25, all the way out to 25 years. And for the 7A loan, it's more of a structure that's familiar to borrowers where you're working with one lender. So both of you are contributing to the project, whereas the borrower would be contributing their down payment, and then the lender would be coming in and financing the remainder of the project through the 7A loan. Now with the 504 loan, it is a little bit a different structure where we do need to involve a certified development company, a CDC company, which does process the loan on the SBA's behalf. So for a 504 loan, there's actually three components. There's the borrower's injection, there's the first TD lender, lenders such as Open Bank, and then there is the CDC company who will be also involved in the financing as well. Now for a 504 loan, the typical structure would be 10% injection by the borrower, 50% contributed by the first TD lender, and the remaining 40% contributed by the SBA. So it is a little bit more complicated in the fact that you do have two different lenders involved. However, we do kind of communicate with each other during the process so that we're not asking for the same documents on both sides to the borrower. So from the borrower's perspective, although there are two lenders involved, it's usually a streamlined process where we know what to ask. We know how to communicate with the CDC and kind of share information so that we're not asking two times to the borrower.
I see.
And now for the 504 loan program, it does have a little bit of a higher maximum. It can go up to 5.5 million. But the biggest difference between the two loan structures is going to be that the 7A loan is typically a variable rate tied to the Wall Street Journal prime rate, whereas the 504 loan is more of a conventional loan structure where it would be structured with a fixed rate. Now the first TD loan would have a fixed rate, and that would be at least usually about a 10-year term. So you do need, after the 10-year period, you do need to possibly refinance or renew that portion. However, on the other side of the CDC loan, the one funded with the SBA, that one would be fixed for 25 years.
But it's due in 10 years.
Well, the first portion of the loan would be due in 10 years, but the second portion, funded by the SBA, would be fixed for 25 years.
25 years.
Yes.
So after 10 years, you have to refi that first portion
yes.
with the CDC.
With the lender. So if Open Bank funded the first TD loan, after 10 years, we would come back to the borrower and say, okay, the loan is coming due. What would you like to do? Would you like to refinance or renew it, or are you looking for another lender? We'll give them options at that time.
But you would explain that in detail to a customer walking in, meeting with you or an opt-in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
But yeah, I'm confused. The CDC, is that a government agency or?
They're usually non-profit organizations that work closely with the SBA. So they do need to be approved to become a CDC company. So the SBA would approve them to kind of handle 504 loans.
But they have their own funds too?
Yes.
Oh,
they fund the loan, and eventually the SBA comes in and pays them off, and they kind of convert convert
I
it from the
see.
CDC
Yes.
loan over
Yeah,
to
we
the
don't need to
SBA.
know the mechanics
Yeah,
behind.
so that's there's a lot of details and a lot involved. I didn't
Right.
want to get too much
We just
into
need to get the money and walk away.
So that's more for the lender to worry about rather than the borrower.
Yeah. Back to the 7A is for working capital. And what working capital, like buying inventory or
Yes. So
like,
working capital does have a lot of different definitions depending on the type of business that you do operate. But if you need cash for inventory, working capital can be used for inventory. If you need to pay general business expenses such as payroll or advertising expenses, working capital would be a perfect loan use of proceeds for that loan.
I see. Now, I just something just came out of my mind, and I thought about inventory, and then I thought something like if somebody like a marijuana grower or a dispenser, and they need some kind of loan for working capital, is that possible, or it had to be illegal? But marijuana is it's just something that just pops up in my mind.
That's a good question, and that's a question that does come up. However, since marijuana is still illegal on the federal level, and this is a federal loan from the U.S. government, they do not allow businesses that partake
right.
in marijuana.
Yeah. Now, I just want to clarify some term here. When you say equity injection, you mean like the down payment by the borrower?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so on the SBA loan, they have to put down usually like 10%.
Well, 10% is the minimum, depending on the type of loan and the location of the business industry. If the bank feels that there's a little bit more risk involved or uncertainty, they may require an additional ejection. But 10% is the minimum for both the 504 loan and the 7A program as well.
I see.
Generally
Thank you.
speaking.
Kính thưa quý vị, chúng tôi có hỏi ông Shin là ông ta có cắt nghĩa cho quý vị là có hai loại loan của SBA, hai cái loại chính, một cái là cái 7A loan và cái thứ hai là cái 504 loan. Hai cái này rất là popular. Cái đầu tiên đó là cái loan, cái maximum đó là 5 triệu đồng và thường thường người ta dùng cái đó là để cho cái working capital, tức là mình làm vốn để mà mình mua hàng tồn kho hoặc là để mình dùng để mà operation. Chúng tôi có hỏi thử tại vì là trong trường hợp mà mình dùng cái đó, tại vì trong đầu óc thì như tôi nghĩ chuyện một người khách hàng trồng marijuana, tôi hỏi thử là nếu trường hợp mà mình finance những cái như là marijuana hoặc là dispenser như vậy có legal hay không, thì ông trả lời rất là hay là cái đó nó không có legal, tại vì đối với luật liên bang đó là marijuana grow still illegal. So nếu quý vị mà có những cái hoạt động như vậy thì SBA loan sẽ không cho vay tiền. Và cái thứ hai nữa đó, kính thưa quý vị, là cái 504 loan, là cái đó cũng rất là popular. Đây là cái loan mà thường quý vị thấy nhiều nhất, vì cái loan này là cái loan mà quý vị dùng để mua. Chúng tôi thấy nhiều nhất là những cái building, real estate là cái nhiều nhất. Thì cái này, cái maximum loan đó là 5.5 triệu đô la. Và cái loan này người ta thường làm việc với một cơ quan là CDC, và cơ quan người ta gọi là Certified Development Company. Thì hai bên CDC và ngân hàng, thí dụ như Open Bank, sẽ bỏ tiền vô trong cái fund cái loan, và chính phủ sẽ finance, sẽ guarantee cái loan đó. Và cái loan này thường nó là 25 năm for real estate, và cái tiền mà quý vị bỏ vô đó, down payment đó, thường nó chỉ có 10% thôi. Okay, I just did my translation the best I can, so it's a lot. So let's talk about the business that SBA will finance. What business are eligible and which is not?
Sure. So one of the main, some of the criteria we're looking for to gauge whether a borrower qualifies for an SBA loan is that number one, they must have a for-profit business that is currently in operation. Now, so that would disqualify any sort of nonprofit organization like churches. So that's a question that comes up a lot, but it does have to be a for-profit, a business organized for-profit. And the business must be operating in the United States as a United States government funded loan. They do want the loan proceeds to remain in the United States. So it should be a for-profit business in the United States. And one of the main qualifying criteria is that the business must be considered small. Now, you may ask, how do you determine whether a business is big or small? So the SBA looks at the industry of the business. Usually, they assign a certain NAICS code depending on the industry. And depending on that NAICS code, there would be a qualifying size standard. So certain manufacturing companies or wholesale companies, their size standard is actually based on the number of employees that they have. There are different standards for different industries. However, one of the more common ones is 500 employees. If you have more than 500 employees for this particular industry, you may not qualify as a small business.
I see.
And other industries that are in the retail sector, they're more qualified based on the amount of revenue that they generate per year. So for example, gas stations, they can go all the way up to 27 million revenue per year. And when they look at the revenue that's generated per year, they also need to consider any affiliated businesses as well. So if you own one business that's generating 1 million per year, but you have another business that is considered an affiliate business, meaning you have a significant amount of ownership in that other business, the SBA will ask to combine the revenue figures of those two businesses and make sure that together you are still considered a small business.
That's something new, and you need to explain more when we come back, okay?
Sure.
Thank you so much. We have to do a second show.
Sure.
Kính thưa quý vị, chúng tôi xin tạm ngưng đây và xin trở lại quý vị vào chương trình phần 2. Xin kính chào quý vị.